just done your weekly media briefing and you've said to the press, the boys are ready to run. Just tell us a little bit more about that, because this is the business end of the season now.
Yeah, well, pretty simple stuff. I mean, it is what it is, really. We kind of say to the lads through the course of the season, just remember, Premiership semi-finals, finals, European semi-finals, quarter-finals, finals, whatever, they tend to get played in good conditions. And I know it sounds a bit weird after last season, the way the final got played, but on the whole, they tend to get played on firm pitches in good conditions, warm temperatures. And the one thing you have to be ready to run, you have to be ready to work hard. And so often, especially around this time of the season, we talk about them challenging themselves to how they can perform on a rugby field, what levels they can get to physically. And I just thought we did that really well against Newcastle, because the reality is by half time the game was done. You didn't need to be a genius watching that game to know that. And so we could have spent the whole second half conserving energy, which wouldn't have made us a better team. Or we could have spent that half really seeing what levels we could get to physically. I thought the guys did that really, really well. And that means we came out of that game physically even better prepared for another hard running game. And I really like it when I see the guys ready to run, because it kind of means we can deal with any opposition game plan. Doesn't mean you'll necessarily win, but it means you're ready to, if it's a kick chase game, we can kick chase hard. If it's an open attacking game, we've got it in our legs to attack and defend at pace. If it becomes an attritional game, well, we can lock in and we can decide to work very hard for 80 minutes in any other aspect of the game, and our lungs aren't going to blow. So for me, it's the ideal bit of preparation you need, and I think it sets us up very well for this weekend.
Is that a sign which you often talk about of the growing maturity of this squad? The more the years are going by, that they aren't happy just to do what would win a game. They want to push and push and push, and so they know the rewards it serves down the line.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we have got a large group of players here who know what those semi-finals and finals will feel like, physically and emotionally, which is good, because it means that when you talk about that level of preparation around getting yourself ready to run and getting yourself ready to challenge yourself in games, they understand why, they understand the benefits of it. But of course, the one thing we have to really guard against is that level of complacency that becomes when you go, well, we've been here before, we know what to do. Because the reality is, for the other three teams in the playoffs, they haven't been here for a while, and the reality for them is this is the biggest game coming up, because we're all in the semi-finals. The semi-final will be the biggest game for a number of seasons for quite a few of those sides when it comes to Premiership. I know obviously Bristol won a European Cup last year and were in a semi-final, but they lost that semi-final, which will probably mean this semi-final is an even bigger occasion. And I think that's my concern a little bit, is that we make sure we lock down and we make sure that the semi-final, when it comes, is our biggest game of the season too. And to do that, we have to take everything we can out of the Northampton game, and we have to take everything we can out of the Sale game to make sure we're ready for them. And those are my key focuses at the moment.
There's real excitement. We were just working out there. Every team can, that top four can get home semi-finals still. So with the 2 weeks to go, it's going to make sure that these last few rounds are. Yeah,
mathematically, it's still there for everybody. I think this round, this weekend, could potentially change that, but I don't know if it will necessarily change it for the second and third. I think we'll still be feeling particularly a bit edgy, but it's an interesting round of games. That said, I'll say the same to the lads this week as I've said every other week. When you get to the top four, it's in your hands to finish in the top four, because if you keep winning your games, no one can overtake you. And when you get to the top two, which is where we are now, it's in your hands to stay in the top two, because if you win your games, teams can't overtake you. And that challenge hasn't shifted, and we've got to decide to keep it in our own hands now.
What are the threat of Northampton? What are you expecting?
Well, probably a little bit that they're in a bit of a comfortable place regarding they know where they are, and that can be good and it can be bad. And I'm probably worried that the good will come out in that they're pretty much secure. I think they are secure in the top 8. They can't get in the top 4, so the pressure of what ifs around losing disappears a little bit. So really, it could be all about, let's show that we're going to have a say in the end of this season shake up. We'll beat Baxter at Sandy Park. Let's do the double on them. Let's show that next season we're on a progressive run into next season, that we are the team that should be the next team outside the playoffs. There's a lot of things they could wrap up to making it a positive game for them, and that's always a concern. The flip of that is that I've got to make us realise and see our lads know that it's really important we win the game, because we need a home semi-final. We're desperate for a home semi-final, and that's a bigger motivator for us than the ones Northampton have. It's always a real interesting mental battle.
And being at home would mean we'd have crowds here, and we saw that last week, and the effect it has. We saw it back in December briefly, but it was special here last weekend.
Definitely, and I do think that will play its part. I think for all kinds of reasons we want to be at home. Obviously, there's the comfort of being at home and the way you can prepare, and it's very, very, very kind of known to the players, and you can run in with really good organisation. But at the same time, knowing your friends and family could be here should be a massive motivator for anybody after the last kind of year or so without crowds. And I would like to think that will play its part, and it hopefully could be one of those deciding factors in a really big performance for us.